Hello, today I'll be doing a Q&A. Did your experience make you become scared of being in a relationship? Yes. When I started dating, I couldn't trust, or I wouldn't trust that easily. Like I don't have, well, I do still have a problem with like being around men. And like, yeah, it doesn't matter who it is. Like I feel uncomfortable sometimes. The next question is, did you ever feel like turning to drugs or alcohol to cope? I thought about it. I really did. I thought about it, but um, I guess I was scared to, because I seen a lot of people like in my family or friends that are like they struggle with addiction, and I didn't want to be like that. Um, Says, what did you do to cope with your life after the abuse? Well, I feel like for a long time I just pushed it aside and I didn't want to think about it, or I try my best not to think about it. And when I did, I don't know. Like, I know that I became an emotional eater. So when I would feel a certain way, like I would just eat. Eating made me feel better, but now, like, thank God that I don't do that as much. I'm still working on that. Okay, the next question. If you have any children or will in the future, would you tell them your story? Yes, I would tell them my story, because I feel like even though like you don't want to scare your kids, you want to let them know your life experiences, especially being sexually abused, so that they won't go through the same exact thing. Or like a lot of people don't tell their story, or like tell their parents or whoever they live with, because they're scared that the person that hurt them will do something to them or their family. So I feel like telling your kids is the best thing to do to save them from hurting and turning to drugs and just being, I don't know, just being, yeah, leave that one alone. Um, do you or did you ever experience low self-esteem due to being sexually abused? Yes. Um, I struggle with that, and I still do in a way, because like when something like that happens to you, you feel like it's your fault. And then like for me, turning to food, like I'm like I'm bigger, so it made me like uncomfortable. Like when I was in high school or even middle school, like my thing to do is like wear hoodies and jeans to hide my body, because like I was ashamed of myself. But now I'm at the point where I'm not as uncomfortable with my body, like, and I have someone that gives me, what's the word I want to use? They encourage me to love myself, and I do love myself now. And it says, have you ever thought about committing suicide? Yes, I've thought about committing suicide. When I was at my darkest point, like my darkest time in my life, I can remember just like I didn't go to school. Like I stopped going to school when I was in 11th grade. Like I just was at the stage in my life where I didn't know, at the time I didn't know what was wrong with me. Like I didn't know. So I just stayed in my room. I didn't want to be around anyone. I didn't go to school. And I remember one day when I was supposed to go to school, and I sat downstairs. Well, I got dressed, and I went downstairs, and I got a knife. And I sat in the dark, and I had the knife, and I was like contemplating on just cutting myself. And I tried, but it didn't work. Like the knife wasn't, to me, it wasn't sharp enough. And I feel like, I mean, I cut myself, but it didn't do anything. It was like left a scratch. And that was like my lowest time in my life, is not knowing what's wrong with me, and not realizing that for me being sexually abused, that it affected me that way, because I pushed it aside for a long time because I didn't want to deal with it and I didn't know how to deal with it. But thank God that I didn't, like, the knife wasn't sharp enough. Thank God that I didn't die. And it's hard to cope with something like that when you feel uncomfortable talking to, like, to people in general, but like to your family, because another member of your family is the one that did sexually abuse you. Like, how can you like talk to anyone about it? And I know now that maybe I should have asked for help sooner, but I ended up going to a therapist and talking about that for a short period of time, and it helped in a way. But yeah, I thought about committing suicide. It's just a hard thing to deal with, and I feel like people should be more understanding of people that have been sexually abused, because it's like you always get those questions of, oh, well, like, oh, she's dressing like that, so I mean, that's why it happened to her. Or like, oh, how can that happen to a boy or a man, because like, why can't they fight back? And I feel like people look down in a way at people that have been sexually abused. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's not enough support, because if something like that happened and it's in your family, like your family member hurt you, and you have those ones that are like, oh, well, I can't believe they did that, oh, they probably didn't do that, or that person's lying, and it's not the case. Like, I feel like you should believe the person that's telling you that they've been sexually abused before you believe or like assume that the person that did it didn't do it. And that's where I feel like society has done, like, oh, you just automatically think that the person didn't do it, and they can been doing that for years to that one child or to multiple kids. That's why, like, my question about telling your kids that you've been abused, yeah, that's why you should tell them, because if you don't, they'll be clueless of what to do or how to act if something like that happened to them, or if they're in that situation. So those are all the questions that I have, and thank you for watching.